That'll never get old.
The cannons, the music, the hype crowd, the excellent casters, the Korean innkeeper. I'm sorry I ruined the intro. I forgot. I was so hyped for the action.
It wasn't as loud this time in our ears. I could barely hear it.
I know. I think it comes
want
out very loud.
I just want the Korean innkeeper to be right next to us, just screaming at us. Just to let us know, stop talking. I'm yelling.
Yeah, it's my turn to yell. All right, so let's settle down just a little bit. You know, it's not all hype all the time here in Hearthstone. We're definitely kind of waiting to see how the tension builds. HunterAce has that odd rogue, really powerful start with Cold Blood being able to introduce a lot of burst potential here, but Steelo has the lightning bolts ready to deal with big threats like the vicious fledglings. If your opponent is careless and kind of has like Hench Clan thugs, and you're able to get some damage out there. But HunterAce, one thing that I've kind of been noticing is that he takes a lot of different lines than a lot of the people that would probably say these are the traditional lines you take. I'm sitting by the players, talking to them during the matches, and they're like, oh yeah, you do this, and the HunterAce does something differently. And it often works out for him, which is so interesting to watch because I feel like because he takes such a different line compared to most players, that's what makes him such a unique player to watch for tournaments.
Yeah, it's very true. Spends a lot of time in the tank too, the think tank. Just making sure that every line that he makes is the best line that he could possibly make in that situation.
Right.
There's very few times where I disagree with HunterAce after thinking through all the options. It happened once earlier today, and I was baffled. I didn't know what to do with my feelings at that very moment. But it is a rare occurrence, and HunterAce is going to take this opportunity to push as much damage as he possibly can. He knows how this matchup goes. It's all about getting in that early damage with minions before Shutterwalk Shaman gets to that point where they're going to be removing and putting stuff in the way.
Well, looking at how Steelo's hand is right now, he definitely has his lightning bolts. The nice thing is that because his hand, for the most part, has just 3 mana minions, he can still play it next turn. And I don't think I want to accept too much more damage here because, yes, Volcano is fantastic to clear the board. The only thing is that Odd Rogue can sometimes just get through with burst, whether they have Leroy Jenkins or just a little bit extra damage there, like when he has Deadly Poison and SI7 agent. If Steelo gets greedy, he can let his opponent feed into the board and try to swing with Mind Control Tech Lightning Bolt. That's also a possibility.
But that's very greedy because if he leaves this alive, he's taken 9.
Right. So if he plays Acolyte or Manatide, lets HunterAce extend onto the board. HunterAce can just ignore this Acolyte.
Okay, jeez.
At the same time, HunterAce doesn't have to extend. So like Steelo knows that there's things like the Flame Elemental, which is very likely that HunterAce would want to play if he didn't have any other good play. So you can play 1-drop, dagger up, push damage. Steelo has a Mind Control Tech Lightning Bolt. But HunterAce doesn't have to extend into it.
So let's look how the math lines up here. This turn he's pushing 13 damage. He's putting Steelo down to 12. Next turn, HunterAce pushes 4 with the dagger. Flame Elemental plus SI7 agent puts him down to 6, which sets up for the turn 5 Leroy Jenkins for lethal if there's no healing or taunts.
Turn 5 kill.
So the turn 5 kill is set up right now if Steelo doesn't have either Serenite Chain Gang, rolls a Taunt Totem over the next few turns, which is a big mana investment, or has Healing Rain. If this dagger goes in the Acolyte...
Well, if he can preserve the board.
If he can preserve the board, sure.
Yeah, he's fine. And I mean, Steelo doesn't have the way to clear the board, but he does have ways to stall.
So HunterAce relying on the minions on board dealing at least 4 damage next turn to make up for the fact that he attacked in the Acolyte of Pain. What it also does is ensure that Steelo has at least 1 less draw to find the things that interrupt that lethal.
Right. I guess it's not necessarily a... it all depends on whether or not things like Akra's Veteran can get repeated damage in, because you do protect that 2 damage to make it up over time. Will the game even go on for longer than that, though? Steelo, if he commits to a Volcano, also is going to be restricted on his mana usage for the following turn. This is tough. He has Lightning Bolts and Glacial Shards to stall, but then he can't Volcano the following turn. Oh, Taunt Totem.
That's pretty big.
every single point of life will really be important for Steelo to stay alive.
Yeah, every point of damage matters.
Yeah.
And he does have Life Trigger to buy himself a little more time as well.
Vile Spine Slayer.
Yeah, not a great pickup when you're in the world of I need to kill my opponent as quickly as I can.
HunterAce has a very weird opportunity as well to trade in his Firefly or to not play around, or to not play into Mind Control tech as well. And this is something that I think he's crossing into his mind at the moment. It seems like Steelo's had weird turns where he's just trying to avoid doing things. So if you play into Mind Control tech, you might be giving some of your damage. And he commits to board clears. I mean, this is something that a lot of control players get criticism from aggro players, is that they overtrade, they focus too much onto the board. And right now, HunterAce, because he just missed the damage here and there, doesn't have a lethal setup for the turn 5 that we thought he could. But also, that means that Steelo's board would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, but he can just push 5 this turn.
Right.
Have a dagger set up to put Steelo in a position where he's either got to clear the board or heal. I guess he could do both because, well, there would still be 1 minion left.
Yeah, I mean, if you... He does have heal with Life Drinker and Healing Rain. That's probably something on the mind of HunterAce that, like, Steelo could be just setting a trap the entire time. Like, oh, I'm so helpless. Oh, what am I going to ever do? Oh, Healing Rain, JK.
But, I mean, what does HunterAce do this turn that protects himself against that? Dagger into the 2-2 and double trade into 3-3?
The thing about it is the aggro decks often don't get the luxury these days to play very respectful around other cards. Back when aggro decks had so many burst opportunities, that was the case. But right now, you're on a pretty thin edge for most of these advantages to push damage.
Yeah. So the only way to stay alive here is Life Drinker. He can make double trade. He would have to trade in the 2-1 as well to keep himself alive for Leroy.
Yeah, but do you think your opponent has Leroy? I mean,
Leroy
Jenkins is a one-of in a deck of 30 cards.
And he hasn't really made any weak plays, right? He hasn't really made any plays that say, wow, his hand must be pretty bad.
Right, he's filled out his curve.
Yeah, he's filled up his curve. Every turn has been pretty much what you'd assume would be one of the strongest plays that they could make that turn.
Ooh, Argent Squire's a great pickup for HunterAce to utilize his Vile Spine Slayer.
Yep.
And now, HunterAce has lethal with Leroy Jenkins and the Re-Dagger.
Yep. So Steelo basically needs Healing Rain here, and Taunt Totem, or Taunt Totem.
Yes. So Volcano Taunt Totem is his out here. And yeah, it's very clear he has a Volcano. And it comes down to 25% chance to stay alive. It's not even a guarantee that he'll win the game. Right now, he's just trying to extend the game's length.
Two copies of Healing Rain in the deck for Steelo.
Steelo is stressed. Look at him holding his own shoulder. Ah, that is not going to be it. HunterAce barely gets over. And I mean, with Fungal Mancer top deck, it wasn't going to look pretty for HunterAce in the following turns. Big win for HunterAce. Shutterwalk Shaman should be able to take out Odd Rogue a lot of the times. They have so many defensive options. They can freeze the daggers.